I made up my mind a long time
That's
ago.
right. I mean, the real fortune is in the arena. Fortune favors the bold, to quote British SAS. But if you're going to get in the arena, you better be ready.
That's right. I didn't go to Vietnam after one day. I spent 2 years practicing out at Camp Pendleton shooting rockets and machine guns at dummies. And then I went, a few months later, I was in the real place. So you got to practice. That's one of my big complaints about school. One of the silliest things schools do. They punish you for making mistakes. Well, how in the world do you learn anything if you make mistakes? How does a baby learn to walk?
Absolutely. You got to war game everything. Robert Kiyosaki is our guest. Stay with us. More calls straight ahead. A lot of key news breaking at Infowars.com that I have not gotten to. Stuff like elderly man facing 10 years over unloaded flintlock pistol. Just amazing story. Walking while Jew, what they're not telling you. And if people attacking Jews in Europe get political support, or now this sit-in Black Lives Matter, where black folks go in and kind of rough up and get in white people's faces, this is just racism being promoted, and it's more divide and conquer. We should all just come together for freedom. I know it's a liberal cause celeb to hate Jews, but it's going nowhere. And the globalists are promoting it. And I assure you, if every Jew on the face of the earth was teleported to the moon, we would still have major problems. So it's a scapegoat, it's an excuse, and it's sick. That's all I have to say on the subject. We're going back to our guest, richdad.com, Robert Kiyosaki. Let's go ahead and go to Chris in Washington, then Vincent, Bubba, John, Eric, and others. Chris, your question for Robert.
Yeah, my question is, I lost a job of 12 years, turned the 401k into an IRA Roth at a credit union, and I'm wondering if that's really a safer place to put it. I also have recently put it in my wife's name, so she's a Japanese national. I could wire it to Japan. But I'm wondering if those accounts would be frozen, would even keep me from wiring funds internationally. And is the 401k Roth, because it's a credit union, make it more safe?
Again, I'm going to say all coins have three sides, heads, tails, and the edge. I don't have an IRA, I don't have a 401k, and I don't have a Roth, simply because my rich dad taught me how to manage my money without the control of the government. See, the 401k and the Roth IRA are government vehicles, basically. And they're doing their best to get the poor and middle class to do something for their retirement. Now, that's good for most people. I wouldn't do it. I'm concerned about them because the market's at all-time tops. So like I've always said, what you do is up to you. What I do is what I can do. For example, if Mark Zuckerberg called me right now and says, hey, why don't you start Facebook? I can't even use my cell phone, much less, create a.
So you got to financially be involved in what you know. Yeah.
And what your experiences are and all this. Like, a farmer would do something different. A secretary would do something different. A doctor would do something different. But and I'm not against them, what the big banks have trained us to do is go to school, but they give us no financial education. Save money, which means give their money to the bank, pay your taxes, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in the stock market. I don't do that. And that's what Second Chance is about.
Because you can't put all your eggs in one basket, Chris. But I mean, obviously, what do you think of his idea of getting money out of the country?
Yeah, you better talk to an attorney because I'll just tell you this much: they're cracking down very, very hard.
That's right. I talked to a lot of famous people that left the country years ago, and they're
cracking down so hard right now. If you do anything even smells illegal, you're in trouble. So you've really got to have good...
Unless you're an illegal alien, then you're above the law. Thank you so much. Let's go to Vincent in North Carolina. You're on the air.
Thanks for having me. I guess probably what I just need to do is get the book. Mr. Kiyosaki, I had purchased one of your Rich Dad programs, which teaches how to get into real estate investing. And about that time, which was shortly before I think the last time you were on Alex's program, I was seriously looking into that. And then I realized that the housing market was really going down, that it may be difficult for somebody to get into renting properties and things like that.
Hold on, Vincent. I'm going to hold you over. We're coming back in 70 seconds with Robert Kiyosaki. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Don't hang up, Vincent. I want you to finish your question. I can have a Harry Dent on who disagrees with gold and silver and then have a Kiyosaki on that agrees with it. I can have a Jim Rogers on. I can have we're giving you different perspectives, but from basically an honest perspective about how stuff's rigged at the top. And the only way to survive is to know how things are rigged and basically play off of that while you expose it. I think that's what we're getting at here today. But Vincent, specifically, finishing up your question, you were going to do real estate, but you saw what was happening in it. Go ahead, your question.
I guess my the thing that became problematic to me is how does a person succeed in a business or in real estate if so many people are living off of subsidies and things like that, and jobs are just kind of vanishing. I've noticed a lot of businesses here where I live have just closed down.
Well, that's one thing about real estate is you got to be in the right area to be investing in it. A good question, Vincent. Robert, when is the right time to invest in real estate?
Well, the first thing is I've been in real estate probably 45 years, and I started back in 1973, I believe. I took a little infomercial class, $385, and I learned how to buy real estate for nothing down. But as the instructor said to my little class, I was still a Marine, he says, your education begins when you leave the class. You have to go out and practice. So I went out, his instruction was each person in the class had to go look at 100 properties, not buy anything, but write an evaluation of it, and then buy something. Unfortunately, what our schools teach you is don't make mistakes. And so most people don't want to go through that process of looking at 100 properties, making a lot of mistakes, being stupid all the time. And then finally the lights go on in your head. If you're going to do real estate, stocks, bonds, currencies, goldfish, whatever you want to do, you have to go through that process of
Absolutely. You gotta lose to know how to win, to quote Aerosmith.
Well, you've got to make mistakes to learn. And that's why my poor dad, like I said, a PhD, head of education in the state of Hawaii, graduated from college in less than 2 years. The reason he was not successful is because he never made any mistakes. So when he got fired from his job as head of education for the state of Hawaii, after running for a candidate for lieutenant governor as a Republican in the Communist Republic of Hawaii, he couldn't work. He didn't know what to do. Here is a guy, a PhD, he's unemployed at age 50.
And that's the monopoly cult system versus the free market, and the cult system's taking over, folks. John in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, I was in high school back when Nixon took us off the gold standard, and the first thing I noticed that through the 1950s, everything I paid 5 cents or 10 cents for, comic books, soda pop, candy bars, everything started climbing.
That's right.
And it hasn't stopped since. And what I want to ask your guest is, he really thinks 2016 is when the brakes are going to burn out on the inflation engine and everything's going to go to hell?
My answer is the job of a prophet is to be wrong. I mean, Alex and I are the same guy. We're just different nationalities. We're trying to tell people, wake up. Don't be a victim of it.
Yeah, we're giving you our best guess. It doesn't mean we know everything.
Yeah, we're doing our best, we're kind of like Howard Stern. We're shock jocks trying to say, hey, wake up, take a look around, see what's going on. Don't just do as you're told like they do in school. So I don't know. I hope it doesn't happen in 2016. But if it does, like a Boy Scout, are you prepared for it? I'll just say this last thing here is this. When that market comes down, the rich are going to get richer. What are you going to do?
That's right, because they're going to be prepositioned, and there's things little guys can do, and then you'll get bigger, and we need the patriots, the liberty lovers, the conservatives, the classical liberals to know this stuff, so it's not just a bunch of cronies like Nancy Pelosi making money. Robert Kiyosaki, thank you so much. Hope you'll come back in a few months when the new book comes out as well, 8 Lessons in Military Leadership for Entrepreneurs.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Amazing interview. I think that was a really good interview.